Hey everyone, Dan here. We are just after market close on Monday, May 24th. Today we're going to take a look at the macro and micro chart in Palantir to try to figure out what we might be looking for in this trading week as well as the weeks ahead. And in the second half of the video, I'm going to do an update on where I see the possibility of a tattooed chef short squeeze coming to fruition as we get sort of like more additional up-to-date info. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And let's jump right in. So Palantir, we're going to start on this 3-month, 2-hour chart to give us sort of like the macro view, see where we are in the broader context of things, and then we'll zoom in to the 5-day, 5-minute chart, aka the micro chart, in case you're doing shorter term trades in and out intraday or only holding for a day or two. So the longer term, it looks like this to me. There's this long-term down channel that it's still in, got into this mid-February and hasn't been able to break out yet. It's been, it's tested the bottom and the top bounds of the channel several times and it's reacted just as you would anticipate. It is clearly now, since about, let's say, May 13th, it started to try to push its way up into an up channel. And so it's working its way through that right now. I do think sooner than later it needs a test of that upper bound because it really only has one test of the upper bound right now. And it's been spending a lot more time sort of moving sideways and working itself just sort of like through the mid area of the channel. So I'd like to see something that tests these bounds a little bit more frequently, kind of like you see here, up, down, and that'll sort of like confirm the channel's efficacy for me. It being a much younger channel than this one here, this one's several months old, this is just a couple of weeks old. This, it may adjust slightly. You'll see this channel is much wider and this is much tighter for now. So this will probably widen out a bit anyway, but it, making some of these moves toward or in and out of those upper and lower bounds will help sort of solidify where that channel should actually be. And then we can play the up channel. I do think that this blue line here is like our most important zone currently, this 2131, and it's not just because the price is there, it just happens to be there. But this to me is for a couple of reasons. One, it has this short term like double top threat coming up, right where it is right now. It sort of approached it today and kind of like dropped off immediately. And so that will sort of like allow it to establish support at this 2131 zone if it can get over that and not sort of double or triple top out there again. If it does, it might have a hard time even holding the bottom bound of this channel, and that might start to expand it already. The other obvious reasons, if you've watched my videos before, is previous resistance here, support here, support here, support here. So these zones that were previously support turn to resistance or vice versa are, to me, the strongest zones to pay attention to. Just meaning that it'll have a lot of friction trying to get established over that price point, but when it does, that price point will act as very strong support. So even if it gets up into the 22s or 23s in the coming days, if it has something, folks start taking profits or just getting skittish for whatever reason and it does dip back down, you should look for that to be very strong support. Additional to that, I would say there's some decent support right around this level here, 1986. I don't think anyone would be super enthusiastic about dipping down to that price unless you are a put holder or a short seller, of which there's not many short sellers still in Palantir. And on the upside, I would be looking right about here. 2293, I think, is a good next price target. Folks are looking either for prices to trim their positions, to lock in some profit, or to sort of like confirm price strength is still coming into play. I think these are the ones to look for. First things first, like I said, we get support at this 2131. That should be really strong support. Continuing to work the way up the channel, 2293 would get us out of the red down channel. And so a break of that down channel is obviously super important to turn things around. And then I look for it to get into the 24s from there. And there might not be a ton of resistance in between. It might sort of like bob up and down this channel if it does continue to follow it. But I don't think that there's a ton of friction points between these upper price targets. So basically getting up to 25, you have 3 or 4 stops along the way, but otherwise it could be smooth sailing. But of course you never know. On Palantir, let's take a quick look at the RSI. So the longer term RSI is creeping up a bit high. The nice thing about this is it is forming its own sort of upper channel, and so you can look for it to continue to make some higher lows on the RSI. If you're looking for like bounce entry positions, but just know at some point it will make a lower low, and that might sort of be a signal to you that there's a little bit of a deeper sell-off that's going to take place, and that might give you a better dip buy entry point. And by sell-off, I mean it can still be a small amount, but any sort of like breath that a stock that's moving up significantly can take, gives folks an opportunity to get in. That's what they're trying to do. The RSI, relatively speaking, is still not super high above the baseline. So being here at about 0.15, I guess it's reading at, 0.15, it's sort of like weeble wobbling back and forth with the signal line. So nothing super key happening just yet. It obviously is in a slightly bullish position, but this histogram, this green area of the histogram is very, very minimal compared to the bearish section that we just had and then the previous bullish runs that we had. So see how that continues to play out. But the big thing for me for the time being, be careful of this topping out. Get support at that 2131 area and continue to flesh out this channel. Again, I wouldn't freak out if it expands this channel a bit. The most important thing is continuing to make additional higher lows, get out of the down channel, and then, I think 23 and 24 and 25 are pretty well within reach once that is accomplished. All right, let's flip to the shorter term chart just to see how things might look different there. I got to get these drawings off of here. And so here's like a tighter, it's a slightly upward channel, but it almost looks like a consolidation channel because it's so slight. But drawing the wrong thing here. Just gonna put in a parallel. All right, so something like this is happening, right? So I'd like to see it test that upper bound of this up channel relatively soon. I do think that 2131 that we talked about is going to be your like more important support zone. So that would be like right around here on this shorter term chart. But if you are playing something like more intraday, or looking for a little bit tighter ins and outs, 2102 could be something to look for it to bounce there if it dips down. Additionally, here 2078, that would put you toward the bottom of the channel dip buy area anyway, with either of those price points. And then to the upside, or I guess for a more immediate support zone, I would look there. And then on the upside, I'd basically that same area, 2131, or here 2133. But then I'd look for it to establish over this 2153, but I wouldn't even worry so much about these specific price zones unless you're looking for something to dip buy. But even then, I would focus more so on the up channel and give yourself an opportunity to buy a dip toward the bottom of the channel, and then if you want, take profit toward the top of the channel. Let's do a quick look at the indicators just to see where we stand as we get into the week. So, we're below the mid-range on the RSI, so that might bring some buying pressure in, help it continue to push the upper bound of this channel. It would be good. It's spent a lot of time testing the bottom bound of the channels, and it really only tested the top here. So it'd be good to get a retest of that top, like the pure top, which would put it about in the 22s tomorrow, getting darn close to 22 tomorrow to test the upper bound of that channel. But that's what I'd really like to see as sort of like a next move, and the RSI could support that. The MACD, coming down for a little bit of a dip here. We'll see if this this bearish histogram looks like it's about to start sort of fading, and so I would look for that to sort of cool off and flatten out, and then get a bullish cross on the MACD, and we'll see if that can give us a big swing. But you do have nice higher highs on the histogram, from here to here to here to here. Those are all great higher highs. So that's obviously a very good sign in the short term. All right. So that'll do it for Palantir. So I'm going to flip over to Tattooed Chef. So for those that are interested, this was the chart that I had drawn. Guess it wasn't on that time frame. I think this is the right time frame. In the video that I did last week or 2 weeks ago, I guess probably 2 weeks ago, talking about the possibility for a short squeeze on Tattooed Chef. So it's continuing to hold this channel even when it broke out of it. It chopped itself back down and fell into it again, but it's continuing to follow this relatively well. It got in here on May 12th, so it's spent quite a few trading days in here at this point, and is now testing the bottom bound of the channel again. And so it could be a good bottom of the channel dip buying opportunity. It was holding up really strong today, and then looks like it fell off toward the end. Obviously, like quite a big fall off toward the end of the day. So I'm not 100% sure what may have happened there, but being that it is still in the uptrend, I think that in and of itself helps put the pressure on the short sellers. I kept wanting to call them short holders. The short sellers. Anything that prevents them from being able to buy share back cheaper than they rented it, they borrowed it, that will put a lot of pressure on them. So continuing to hold this channel, super key in my opinion, if this squeeze is going to play out. Another thing to look for, just sort of like price zone wise, is obviously there was like a multi-topping out event that happened here today, right? And that like corresponded with what happened at close last Friday. So it's going to have to get itself to basically like very, very close to 21 in order to get that next big push, in my opinion. Because getting support there will put a ton of pressure on and will get itself away from this, quadruple topping out area. And not only that, but then that area will be very, very strong support, just like we were just talking about with Palantir. Now let's look at the stats. If we scoot over here, the fee to borrow these shares is staying fairly high. I mean, I'd rather see it up in the 40s. It dipped down here below 30 recently. And so I'd really like to see it, up more in the 40s and 50s. So I do think we're going to need like a bit of a turn back up in order to really kind of turn the heat up on the short sellers. But there's 100K available, which isn't a ton. So I think that sort of like low supply of available shares to borrow could help us get a boost in this price. But I would watch this very, very carefully. During market hours, these prices are updated every 15 minutes. So you can see the fee as it's adjusting on a 15-minute basis. So, I would watch that like a hawk if you're looking to try to like swoop in on the ground floor of this potential short squeeze, if it even pans out. But, the first thing, like I said on the chart, it sure looks like it could be squeezing, right? There's like battles going on where there's maybe a bunch of like closed positions here. I know that they had good news this day too, but all these things put additional pressure on. But then the fact that it's sort of like continuously gets beat down really hard after it pushes up tells me that there's still a lot of short selling coming in and trying to like hang on and regroup. And so the more pushback that there is consistently, the more pressure will continue to put on folks that are holding a borrowed share with a higher fee. So the higher the fee, the better for short squeeze potential. The float, here we're looking at 35% being reported, the percentage of the float that's being shorted. On Yahoo, this is almost a month old at this point though, but they have it at 28%. So you do get some differing information on different sites, so I like to just sort of like aggregate them and say, okay, it's probably about 30%. The big thing to my eye is that this is a huge number, a big increase. So that's where, when we talk about short sellers coming in, they're definitely coming in strong, at least reporting date over reporting date that we see here. So not only was that a really big increase, but that was on the back of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months of really big increases, 20%, 30%, 40%, 30%, almost 60%. Like, these are crazy increases month over, or not even month over month, but reporting date over reporting date. And you see the days to cover is increasing, while the percentage of the float shorted is increasing, while the price has gone up about $2.50 or so. So, that's a lot of pressure building, in my opinion. So I think stringing together some additional green days, staying in that up channel, establishing support at 21, that's going to put incredible pressure on this, 30% of the float being shorted, this $232 million being sold short. That's what's going to be needed to put on the pressure. The daily, we don't have an update since last Friday yet, so we may get that later tonight or tomorrow, but the ratio had been increasing quite a bit. So the ratio being at 29 was as high as it had been since May 11th. And so it's at least holding very steady, if not about to pick up again. So that's why I'm really keen to see what happened today, but we might not have that report until tomorrow. But if it's anything in the 30s, that's what I would be looking for, because you do want the short sellers to continue to come in. The two biggest things that we need, and I know I've said this already, but just to make it super clear, I think the two most important things are the green days continuing to pile up, the channel, the price continuing to get pushed up the channel, and then the fee, if that fee got into the 70s or 80s, that would, to my mind, combined with price strength in TTCF, would have the potential to set off a series of squeezes. Or mini squeezes, as they may sort of come to pass. But that's what I'm going to be looking for in the near term, and I'm just sort of keeping my eye on this. I have a longer term TTCF position that I have had for a while, and I haven't made any changes to that, but I haven't taken an additional sort of short squeeze specific position yet, because I'm waiting to see if we can get through this topping out. I'm waiting to see if we can hold the bottom bound of this channel, because the price strength needs to be there, and then the fees got to rocket up. If I see those things happening, I will certainly be jumping in, unless something unforeseen happens. But I'll keep you all posted. I'll do updated videos here, but also on my Twitter. I'll try to keep all that info up to date, to the degree that it's interesting to anyone. But that'll do it for this video. I appreciate you watching, and I hope this gave you some ideas, some things to look for. Please always, always, always do your own due diligence. Don't just take something that's said here and kind of run with it. I know there's a lot of people who put out videos and analysis and stuff and just say, hey, just look at this thing and do the thing I'm telling you to do. But I don't super love that idea. And I think if you want to become a resilient trader who can sort of figure out what works best for you over time, you have to kind of develop your own system, which shouldn't be reliant on, hey, what if that person gets hit by a bus? Then what do I do? Not that I wish that on anyone, of course, but, crazy things happen. You never know. So, all right. Well, I hope that everyone's week got off to a good start today, and I will see you in the next video.